I'm Dr. Andrew Brandeis with the Intestinal Repair Protocol. Welcome to part 3, where we discuss step 1 of the treatment approach. The treatment approach is how to repair the GI system with supplementation. So you don't have to use supplements to repair the intestinal system. You can certainly use foods to do this, but I find that it's a much more cumbersome process to really augment your diet and your lifestyle to try to get the synthesis of nutrients that we are able to achieve in supplementation. So this protocol has helped almost every patient that has followed these steps. There's definitely outliers that I was unable to help, but these are rare cases that usually have some sort of complicating factor. But for most people suffering from any sort of impaired gut function or the symptoms that we've discussed so far, these are steps that are going to lead you to a long-term resolution of your symptoms. And as I just said, supplementation is a crucial part of the protocol. The supplements that I recommend are all pharmaceutical grade, high quality. We know the source of these supplements, and again, these are tried and true. I've used these thousands of times with excellent results. Okay, so step 1 of the treatment approach. We're going to discuss hydrochloric acid. As I had said, there's sort of a big misconception that if you have any sort of digestive problem, you want low levels of stomach acid. I've had patients on all kinds of antacids or PPIs, such as Prilosec or pantoprazole. You may be on some of these medications yourself. The problem is that acid in your stomach is very important for digesting food. But if something is awry, there can be fermentation in the stomach that actually bubbles up the little bit of acid that might be there, causing irritation of the esophagus. And then a doctor says, "Oh, you must have too much acid. Therefore, we want to reduce the levels of acid in your stomach." And what usually happens is you might take 10 to 20 milligrams of a PPI, and then your symptoms subside for a few weeks, but then you start getting gas and bloating because now your food isn't being digested properly, and then before you know it, you've increased the dose of the antacid that you're on. So this is a really bad, dangerous cycle. And the most important part here is why you're having the symptoms of what's called esophageal reflux, or GERD, gastroesophageal reflux. So almost 90% of GERD is caused by a bacteria called H. pylori, Helicobacter pylori. And this is a bacteria that can live in the stomach, and it will actually ferment food as you eat it, and a byproduct of fermentation, as we know, is gas. And if you've got gas being created underneath where the acid is, that gas is going to bubble up, it's going to bring some of that acid with it, and it's going to go up in the stomach towards the esophagus where it's not supposed to go, and it's going to cause irritation. So if you're suffering from gastroesophageal reflux, eliminating or eradicating the H. pylori infection is very important to treatment. And that's something that you could test for either in the blood with a breath test or with a stool test. But the easiest way to do this at home is what I call the hydrochloric acid challenge. So what we want to see is, do you have enough stomach acid? So it's very simple. To find out, you take 1 capsule of hydrochloric acid at the beginning of each meal, and you increase by 1 capsule until you get to heartburn. So if you're already experiencing heartburn, that's okay. We want to do this anyway and see if your heartburn gets better or worse. So for everybody who's either experiencing heartburn or not, you'll take 1 capsule of hydrochloric acid with, say, breakfast, and then 2 with lunch, 3 with dinner, and then the next day you'll take 4 with breakfast, 5 with lunch, 6 with dinner. And you really don't need to exceed 6 capsules. But what you want to find out is what your dose is. So if you don't have heartburn and you take 1 capsule and you feel fine, and then you take 2 capsules and you start to get like a burning sensation in your chest, that means that 1 capsule is your dose. You back off to the previously tolerated dose, and that's the dose you want to take with every meal. Most patients of the intestinal repair protocol can get to 6 capsules without experiencing any heartburn, which means you want to take 6 capsules of hydrochloric acid with each meal. That's your dose. If that's not clear, I'll just give another example. You take 1 capsule with breakfast and you're fine. You take 2 with lunch and you're fine. And then you take 3 capsules with dinner and you notice some heartburn afterwards. Stop there. And from now on, until you finish the protocol, 2 capsules with every meal is your dose. This is incredibly important because this is one of the first steps of digestion, and we need to get food as digested as possible before it makes it to your intestines where we're going to do all this repair. The other thing to consider is that we want to limit the amount of fluids that you consume with meals. So imagine that you have a small little glass of vinegar and you throw some chicken in there and you wait to see how the acid dissolves the chicken. You can imagine that that process would be slowed down greatly if you diluted that vinegar with a whole bunch of water. So you really shouldn't be consuming fluids with your meals. I typically tell people about 30 minutes before a meal up to an hour after a meal, you want to abstain from drinking water. And again, this is contrary to what a lot of people think. Every restaurant serves you water with your meals. I haven't drank water with a meal in years. And this is a very simple thing you could do that has dramatic impact on your ability to properly digest your food. So that was step 1 of the treatment approach to the intestinal repair protocol. Join me in the next video where we discuss the rest of the supplementations in step 2.